Hello and welcome to my channel, the Irish Gypsy Psychic Tarot Reader. That's me, the Irish Gypsy. I'm going to be doing general monthly readings for each of the 12 zodiac signs for the month of November 2015. I will be using the Gilded Tarot deck as I love the vividness of the color and the detail of the imagery in the cards. I'll be pulling 8 cards for the month, 2 cards for each week. These are general readings, so they may not apply or resonate deeply with everyone who watches, although I hope that everyone who sees them gains something positive and relevant and useful uh, when they watch them. For those of you who will be listening and subscribing and following me on this channel, your support and feedback are deeply appreciated and most welcome, so thank you for that. If any of you are interested in something a little more in-depth and personal than a general reading, I do love to give personal readings. So if you click on the About button on my channel's homepage, it'll give you a little more detail on myself, the services I offer, and my contact information. So let's get to it. This video is for Capricorn for the month of November 2015. I do shuffle my cards thoroughly before each and every reading, but I like to go through a last little bit of a shuffle while I'm actually recording for you. I apologize ahead of time for any long pauses during the reading. It just means that I'm studying the cards and putting together the feelings and impressions and overall message I get from them. As those of you who read know, sometimes it comes in quickly and clearly, and sometimes it takes a minute or two to put it all together in the story that is you. Capricorn, this is the month of November 2015. Hold for you, my lovely little goats, the hard workers of the zodiac, my patient, stubborn, cloven-hoofed friends. Capricorn, November 2015. Capricorn, November 2015. Okay. For the first week of November, we have the Ten of Pentacles, followed by the Six of Wands. For the second week, we have the Magician card, followed by the Chariot. For the third week, we have the Page of Wands, followed by the Four of Pentacles. And for the fourth week, we have the Seven of Wands, followed by the World card. And for the overall theme or general feeling of the month, I pull the card from the bottom of the deck, and you have the Wheel of Fortune. Now, as I'm sure you know, there's no definitive beginning and ending to the timeline of these cards. This reading is generally for the month of November, but it could very well be a situation or a frame of mind that you're in at the beginning of October and bleeding a little bit into the month of December as well. So we begin the month with the Ten of Pentacles, followed by the Six of Wands. Excuse the card floating around, it's a little like trying to navigate in a mirror. So the Ten of Pentacles, Pentacles being the suit of tangible things in your earthly environment. Typically it represents finances, money, resources, assets, property, things of that nature. The Ten of Pentacles represents a pretty fair amount of abundance, as you can see by the chest that's been left in the woods. It's overflowing with pentacles, with money, resources, things of that sort. Tens also being representing, it's a number that represents the end of a cycle, fulfillment, the achievement of the full achievement of something, and the ending of something. And also an underlying meaning of this card is that this chest of wealth has been left there in the woods for someone to find, perhaps as a repayment for a gift the universe has given them a long time ago. The gift perhaps of the Ace of Pentacles, which is something that they've put in a lot of work to build up to what they now have, which is a great deal of abundance and wealth and comfort. This card is accompanied by the Six of Wands, Wands being an element of represented by the elements of fire or air. The Six of Wands is a victory card, and it shows a man who's coming into town, lit up on his horse. Um, he's being celebrated. Uh, it's a victory card. So it looks like you're coming into the month of November, and you're in a pretty good place. You have a life that appears to be pretty comfortable. You have a fair amount of resources. You're in a place where you feel pretty good about yourself and the life you've built for you. And it looks like other people recognize you and celebrate you for your accomplishments as well. It looks like you worked really hard for your life, Capricorn, and that's something that fits your sign. You're a patient, hardworking, dedicated, pretty self-disciplined sign, and it looks like you're coming into the month of November being at a place where you've amassed quite a bit for yourself, as evidenced by your hard work, your dedication. Perhaps you've worked a long, long time to get the life that you now have, and these cards are saying that this is a good time to celebrate everything that you've achieved. It's an excellent way to start the month. Maybe a bit of an underlying message to the Ten of Pentacles is that perhaps it's now time to take a look at how you can maybe share some of that, or maybe it's time to take a more philanthropic way of looking at what you have and perhaps seeing where you could share or invest it in a way that benefits others. In the second week of the month, we have the Magician card, followed by the Chariot. Both major arcana cards, I might add. Now, I like to look at the major arcana cards. I think of them as fingers of the divine. They typically represent outside forces or external influences that come in that we really don't have much control over. If you're a spiritual person who has a connection with the divine or with God, to me it represents forces of that sort that come in and perhaps give us things or even sometimes take things away. They affect changes that we are either unable or sometimes unwilling to make. And it's left to us to how we deal with them. These are actually two excellent cards to have. It looks like the second week of November, one month behind. The second week of November, you're coming into it in a place where you maybe you're wondering what to do next. You've reached the achievement. You've taken a look around at your life, and you've reached you've reached a place where you feel really good about the life that you've built up for yourself. As we begin the second week or the middle of November, we have the Magician card. The Magician representing it shows a man, a wizard, who has all of the elements in front of him, something from each of the suits. He has achieved mastery and control over all the aspects of his craft, um, and he is now ready to, let's just say that whatever you decide to do from here on out, you have the tools that you need to be able to do it. You have the work, you put in the work, you have the background, you have the experience, you have the resources. Whatever you choose to do now, you have the power to be able to achieve pretty much anything. You have the skills to be able to do it. There isn't anything else really that you need so much right now. You've worked really hard to build up a pretty good repertoire and a pretty good toolbox in the tool chest of your life. This card is accompanied by the Chariot card, which is a card. This card can imply movement and action of some kind. It implies a sense of balance, but not necessarily a sense of understanding. The person who is driving the chariot, she's learned how to utilize what's at her disposal. She's learned how to navigate through life, and she's done it perhaps by sheer will and determination, which Capricorn, being the wonderful, strong earth sign that you are, you're full able to do. Um, the underlying message to this card would be that she has achieved balance perhaps, but not a deeper understanding of where her place is in the world, her connection with herself, perhaps her connection with the divine or a sense of spiritual grounding. Um, it shows somebody who has gotten to a place in their life where they have They've been very self-disciplined, perhaps quite driven, and they've reached a place in their life where um, they've learned how to navigate. They've found enough of a balance to be able to navigate through life. Um, Typically a pretty strong-willed, determined person, but maybe somebody who's lacking a deeper sense of understanding of where their place is in the universe. And what this reading is suggesting to me so far, Taurus, is that you're coming into the month of November in this place where you've built up a pretty good life for yourself, um, and you're at a place maybe where you're wondering what else to do with your life, or maybe you're starting to feel like you're being asked to do something else with your life. Um, you you worked very hard to obtain the necessary skills and tools, um, and resources in your life to achieve pretty much whatever you want to. And the Magician card underscores that. You have everything you need to set off on any other kind of new venture or adventure that you would like to do. But I think perhaps you might be starting to feel a sense of maybe being asked to do something else. Maybe that includes stepping out of yourself a little bit more, maybe taking a look at how you can share some of what you've managed to build up, whether it's actual resources or your your advice, your wisdom, your experience, um, to get you to the next stage of life, which goes a little deeper, which is going to ask you to go a little deeper, maybe to step not only outside of yourself, but to go a little deeper inside yourself, um, perhaps in relation to other people, is the sense I'm getting so far, but let's continue. In the third week of November, we have the Page of Wands, followed by the Four of Pentacles. Now, the Page of Wands usually are young people or actual children. This can actually represent an actual young person or a child in your life. Wands, again, the element of wands being that of fire or of air, implies um, movement, passion, creativity, particularly in pointing to careers, although it doesn't necessarily have to be. This reading is going to mean different things to different people, but I get that it has something to do with where you are in your financial or the property, the physical, tangible part of your life, and perhaps finding a way to blend that with maybe even a sense of spiritual foundation as well. But the Page of Wands, pages can also represent actual messages that you receive. Like most young people, they represent the novice, someone who's enthusiastic, eager, maybe somebody who doesn't have who's not coming from a place of a lot of experience and background and wisdom, but someone who's very eager and enthusiastic. It's the card of the novice. Pages are novices, students. Perhaps you're thinking about embarking on something which you don't have a lot of experience with. Perhaps you're getting a message um, about something. And actually, Capricorn, the more that I look at the layout of this reading, I'm starting to get the impression that you're being asked in the month of November, whether it's an actual person coming to you and asking for this, or perhaps it's just an internal feeling that's starting to, a little voice inside of you that's starting to get a little louder. You're being asked to step outside of yourself a little bit and share of yourself in a way that perhaps you haven't yet. It looks like you've spent a lot of time, maybe even the majority of your life, building up what looks to be a life that's full of all the conventional comforts and resources. And it looks like you're at a place in your life where you're being asked to step out of yourself and look at how you can maybe start to give back to other people, to the world in general. Maybe this Page of Wands represents an actual person in your life who's come to you asking for help of some kind, asking for resources or asking for your advice, your experience, or a combination of both. And the feeling I'm getting, Capricorn, is that, especially with the previous week having included two major arcana cards, that um, whatever your spiritual foundation is, whether it's a belief in an actual God or something that's just greater than yourself, it looks like you're being asked to step outside of yourself and look at how you can give back to other people, to and therefore getting a deeper connection with yourself and your place in the universe. It's often on our path to helping other people that we get the most help for ourselves. And learning how to relate to other people, we gain a deeper insight into who we are and what our place in the universe is and what it all actually means. And I think this is where you're at. I think this is what this reading is saying. It's suggesting very strongly to me that this is the place that you're at in the month of November 2015, that it's time to start looking at how you can give back what was perhaps given to you so long ago that you took and used to build up uh, such a good life for yourself. And I think that you're being asked to do that perhaps somewhere in the third week of November, the latter part of November. Perhaps this feeling's getting a lot stronger. Perhaps you're actually having physically been approached by someone about maybe a new project or something that's going to require you to give of yourself, to give of your resources, your time, your experience, your advice, your wisdom. This card, the Page of Wands, is accompanied with the Four of Pentacles. And the Four of Pentacles, of course, is another resource sign. The Four of Pentacles shows a man who is who's built up uh, a significant bit of abundance for himself, some kind of wealth, some things that hold value to him, but he's holding on to them very tightly. I think, Capricorn, that whatever whatever this is that you're being asked to give, or this this sense inside of yourself that's urging you to perhaps start looking at how you can give back to the world for the things that you've been given. For some reason, there's some something in you that makes you want to hang on to what you have pretty tightly. I don't know if this is something you're being asked to do that you think is maybe too risky, or maybe originally you came from a place of lack so long ago, and you've worked so hard and so long to build up everything for yourself, and you've done it maybe pretty much mostly on your own, and you're in a place where maybe you just feel like you want to hang on to what you have, and you don't really want to open yourself up and share very much with other people. I'm not saying this makes you a selfish person or calling you a selfish person, but I understand sometimes when we've come from a place of lack, or our foundation was a place of not having much, and we work very hard and very long to build up for ourselves. Sometimes it can be difficult to look at what we have and to let go of that to give to other people. Um, but I think that's the place that you're at in November, Capricorn. I think you're being asked to give. I think you're being asked to step outside of yourself, which actually in the end is going to help you gain a deeper understanding of yourself and how you relate to other people. I think it's going to help you. It's going to deepen your relationships with other people and help you find your true place in the world. It's just going to lead you to a deeper sense of fulfillment, because it looks like you have all the tangible things at your fingertips, but perhaps are lacking a deeper foundation in who you are and where you belong and what your true purpose in life is. Now, in the fourth week of the month, we have the Seven of Wands, followed by the World card. Now, the Seven of Wands shows a man who is standing in front of the door to his castle, his keep, his home, his kingdom, and he is in a defensive position. He's holding a staff in front of him, and it looks like he is being uh, either attacked, maybe perhaps not attacked, or accused in some way. It looks like he's defending something. It looks like he's defending his home. He's defending what's his. And I think that this card actually underscores the cards of the previous week, which is somehow in the month of November, you're being asked in some way to give us something. Someone's asking for something from you. And for some reason, and it's not, the reason is not apparent to me in this reading. This is going to mean something specific to somebody who's watching this. But you're being asked to give of yourself. You're being asked to step outside of yourself and give something. Perhaps something that you've worked a long time to build up. Perhaps you're being asked by someone that you don't feel has put in what you've put in, so why should you give of what you've worked so hard to have? And towards the end of the month, it looks like you're in a position where that's still where you're at, and perhaps that hasn't been received very well, and you're being asked to defend that position. You know, why are you holding on so tightly? You know, why aren't you willing to, to step outside of yourself and give of these things? Now, this card doesn't necessarily this card doesn't necessarily imply um, that you're coming from an unfounded belief. It doesn't imply that you're, just hanging on to everything that you have and you're defending yourself against people who are in the right and you're in the wrong. The underlying message of this card would be to examine where those feelings are coming from. If you're being asked to give of something and you don't want to, um, it's okay to be smart and wise about how we give to people, because we want to make sure that we're safe and that we don't give to the point where we're actually depleted ourselves. But I think the message of this card is asking you to examine where those feelings of hanging on so tightly come from. Does it come from a place of fear that is unfounded? Is what you're being asked to do or what you're being asked to give reasonable? If it is, then stand by your ground. Only you know what's best for you, Capricorn, like we all do. I think what this card is saying is maybe you don't necessarily need to be in such a defensive position, but use this as an opportunity to examine where those feelings of wanting to hang on to what you have so tightly and not give, where are they actually coming from, and perhaps approach it from a different perspective. And it looks like that's echoed in the card that accompanies it, which is the World card. The World card shows a woman who is almost standing on top of the world. This card represents someone who's found that sense of balance, who's found that sense of unification with herself and the world around her, having reached a place where you're able to make wise and balanced decisions. Um, and I think it just bolsters the underlying message of the Seven of Wands, where it's asking you to take a look at what's being asked of you. Somebody's asking something of you in the month of November. You're being asked in some way to give of what you have, to give of what you've built up. It looks like you're at a point at some point in November where you're reluctant to do that. You're hanging on very tightly to what you have left, and the advice of the cards in this reading are to ask you to examine where that feeling comes from and to perhaps approach it a different way, and to try and make some decisions around this that are balanced between um, helping in a way, maybe reaching a compromise with whatever it is you're being asked to give, um, in a way that allows you to step outside of yourself and share some of what you have, but also keeps you feeling safe and not depleted of the resources that you've worked so hard to build up. Now, the card I pulled for the overall theme of the month, the general feeling of the month, is the Wheel of Fortune, which is a card, I'm always fond of saying that life is always moving, the wheel is always turning. Um, this card represents unforeseen and unexpected things happening. They can be for the good or maybe the not so good. We have no control over how the wheel spins or what it stops on. This card was in the upright position, suggesting that uh, something actually happens, which is a good thing. Maybe you win something, or it's just the overall feeling is that you've reached a place in your life where you look around, you recognize that the universe or God, whatever your spiritual connection is, that that you've been very fortunate that you've been given gifts and opportunities that you have taken and built on, and that the Wheel of Fortune has turned in your favor in your life, and you're in a comfortable place. You're being asked to give back in some way, which has you feeling a little nervous and a little, perhaps a little afraid and concerned about maybe losing some of what you've built up. Um, it's interesting that you got the Wheel of Fortune as the overall um, theme of the month, and I'm trying to place what a deeper meaning of it might be in relation to being asked to give. I think what I'm going to do, Capricorn, is pull a clarifying card to see if we can get a little more, just a little more direction on the general feeling and outcome of the month. Clarifying card for Capricorn for the month of November 2015. Clarification for Capricorn for the month of November 2015. And we have the Six of Pentacles. It's interesting how the meaning of the cards compound on each other. The Six of Pentacles is, this is the card of giving, although perhaps being more intentional in how you give. This card shows a man who has amassed and who's amassed a certain amount of wealth, and he's in the process of, he's, thrown some of the pentacles out the window, and you can see the hand reaching up to grasp them. This is a card that shows someone who seems like he's willing to give, but he's not being very intentional about where he's giving it to, and he's just perhaps throwing it away rather carelessly. So this does clarify things a bit more. You are, Capricorn, in the month of November, being asked to give back something of what you've been given so long ago. It looks like you've worked very hard to build on the opportunities and gifts that you were originally given. And what you have in your life today is a representation of that. And don't forget that to have a sense of accomplishment and victory, you've worked very hard, Capricorn, and you deserve to be able to enjoy it and to be celebrated for it. You're also being asked, it seems like the universe is kind of telling you that it's time to give back a little bit of what you were given. But it's asking you to be mindful of how you do that, be intentional of how you do that. And perhaps that's what has you somewhere in the latter part of November being a little concerned about hanging on to what you have. Perhaps what you're being asked to give isn't something that you feel comfortable with. But the message nonetheless is that you're being asked to step outside of yourself, and that in the process of giving, that process somehow is going to lead you to a deeper sense of fulfillment, a deeper knowledge of yourself, of your intuitive place in the universe. But it's also asking you to be wise and be intentional about how you do that, so that you don't waste the resources that you have, that you've worked so hard to build up. Perhaps you can go to someone and ask for advice on how to best do this. Because it looks like good things are going to happen for you, Capricorn, as a result of this. The Wheel of Fortune did come up in the upright position, so it suggests to me that you're going to gain from giving, which always keeps the karmic cycle going. We give so we can receive, so that we can give, so that we can receive. There's a law of order in the universe, Capricorn, regardless of where your spiritual foundation lies or rests in. And I think that by embarking on this journey of sharing of yourself and of your resources, it's going to give you more than you think is possible, and far more than you started out with. So Capricorn, I hope that this reading I hope you've enjoyed this reading. I hope you've gained something from it. It's not very specifically pointed at a specific thing, so I think it's going to mean something specific to someone who's watching this. It's going to make sense for you. But don't forget to take a sense of achievement in everything you've built up. It looks like you've worked very hard. You're being asked to share some of what you've been given. Be intentional and wise about how you do that, but go into it with an open heart, because it looks like the rewards are going to be more intangible than the things that you have around you. That's going to lead to a greater sense of yourself, your place in the universe, and the fulfillment of your life path. So Capricorn, I hope you have a wonderful November. I hope you enjoy your Thanksgiving if that's a holiday you celebrate. I look forward to seeing you in December, and I wish you blessings and a happy life.